What's up? What's up?
Hey, good morning. How are you?
How you doing, man?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
Doing all right, man. Good to be talking to you.
Yeah, same here. Thanks for taking some time in your morning to do this, man. We're really excited to have you coming back here to Albuquerque, and looks like you're starting the tour here, right?
Yeah, first gig.
Okay. All right. Cool. Cool. Well, let me officially get this going. How much time do I have with you? About 30 minutes or 15?
About about 30. I think that's about right.
Okay, sounds good. All right, my guest joining me right now will be here Sunday, May 22nd at the Sunshine Theater with his brother Iggor Cavalera. We're talking none other than Mr. Max Cavalera. As Cavalera will return to do the Beneath a Rise tour. They are kicking it off, as we just mentioned, here in Albuquerque, New Mexico at the Sunshine Theater. They will be with Destruction and Nervosa and Sunlord, but a little bit later on in the tour, you'll be joined by other support acts like Cephalic Carnage and Warbringer. So, Max, thanks again for joining us right here on Zero Hour Squared Class. It's always a pleasure. How are you doing? How's everything going so far leading up into the beginning of this tour?
Yeah, everything good, man. We just be practicing, just jamming a lot. We added some more songs to the list. So right now we're playing everything except for two tracks from Beneath the Remains and Arise. So it's more than we did first time around, and I think that's it's more exciting that we get to play more. It's still, I wanted to do that. I talked to Igor about it. Like, I think we should try to play as many songs as we can. So yeah, so right now we're just leaving it out. Hungry and meaningless movements. So should be okay.
Nice, nice. Yeah, this is exciting. Arise and Beneath the Remains obviously were two of the most crucial albums in that time frame, and they're everlasting. They haven't aged. They seem every bit as relevant. They're as ever heavy as ever. And I'm sure it was kind of painstaking to kind of go through that, two of those big bodies of work, and then try to add maybe something from Roots, some Cavalera conspiracy stuff. So ultimately, how long are we looking at as a set?
We haven't totally figured out yet. We kind of just waiting. We kind of like to do that when it comes a little bit closer to the. So right now it's a little less than a month for the tour to start.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we're gonna probably filled up with some surprises. I like to leave it as that. I think that we kind of even more excited for the fans. Like they don't know what we're gonna play. For sure, it's gonna be the stuff from Beneath the Remains and Arise, but there's other jams and cover songs, and
Nice.
there's so many cool songs that we can put it on the set to make it more exciting. But definitely we're gonna find some jams to put in there, and you'll please every metal fan. Yeah, I mean, I think that's it's just exciting. It's kind of like nostalgic a little bit. You get to go back in time and revisit. Like you said, those records have aged very well, man. They really have. Lyrically, the stuff I talk about on those records are going on right now in the world. A lot of the war stuff in Ukraine, and a lot of the stuff like either be mass hypnosis with media, or just in general, Dead Embryonic Cells with the pandemic. Those are like songs that were written 30 years ago when
Right.
we knew about coronavirus or any of those things. But we just kind of always had like a awareness of those things in the world, and we put it into lyrics. And it's so crazy to see how they age with time. They're more relevant now than they were when we first wrote them 30 years ago. It's insane. But yeah, I think it's a real energetic show. A lot of really, just really killer tune one after the other. It feels great to play that stuff. I think, like, to me, apart from reliving the past, I think the what I get most out of it is it's just fun. This is just
Right.
really fun to play, man. It's kind of like what metal is all about.
Right.
Kind of like is on those records. It's fun, it's energetic, it's heavy, it's intense. It's angry.
Yeah.
It's fast. You know, but when it slow down, it's got those crazy amazing breakdowns, and we got a killer band. You know, we got Mike playing bass. You know, he's of course a trash veteran. He was with Havoc many years, and he's been with Soulfly. We got Daniel Gonzalez. You know, he plays with Gruesome and Possessed. So he's a Daniel is very, very kind of like a pro. You know, we got a real pro to play that stuff, that knows everything about the era of music. And then you got me and Igor. You know, like, so it's gonna be fun, man. I cannot wait. I love the fact that we're starting in Albuquerque. I love the city. I love the fans. I think it's a great way to kick off the tour.
Right.
And we're just getting ready right now, but we cannot wait, you know, and it's so cool to have shows coming back, you know. That's another thing. It's finally back, and people are going out and living life, you know, and living life to the fullest again. And that's so cool to see. I already did some tours with Soulfly, and it was amazing to see the response of the fans. But I think this is even a little more special. We don't do this all the time, playing those old records. So I think it's even another. You know, if you needed a reason to go out and see this, maybe one a good reason is like, we're not doing this all the time, so people should come and watch it, because it's part of metal history, you know.
Yeah.
Rather, even if you were there when we played the stuff, a lot of kids are not even born when those records came out. They get to see it now. It's a treat, man. It's a treat for every metal fan. It's kind of like a trip back in time to kind of like where it all kind of really started for me and Igor, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, we had records before that. We had Schizophrenia, Morbid Vision, The Bestial Devastation, but Beneath the Remains is where really we became worldwide. You know, we started touring around the world. And those two records are very important. Beneath the Remains and Rise are super important in our collection.
Yeah, historically, those albums, like you said, fit into the plan. Very, very, very important. That era of thrash metal that was coming out, the death metal movement, everything. That era was so important lyrically, musically, the aggressiveness. You know, I fortunately got to be there, but I've seen tours like, say, Rush did Moving Pictures in its entirety, and I had never seen them do the camera eye. And until a few years, you know, decades later, they added it to their repertoire for a special reunion of that. And I think that's nice that they're, like you said, you're offering to us fans and to those generations that didn't get to be there a new lease on getting to see that live. And I really love your enthusiasm, man. You look excited. You look pumped, ready to go. This is going to be a pretty extensive tour. And you mentioned fans coming back. Man, last night I was at Brujeria. They were here in town, sold out, I'm pretty sure. Testament sold out completely 2 weeks ago. A week before that, Ministry sold out. I mean, the people are showing up in droves. They're standing and making long lines for merch table, and you see the generation of different kids, you know, young kids going to these shows and absolutely just soaking in that energy. And especially with, you mentioned the tough times that we're going through right now. I mean, this is all that much more important for these folks.
Yeah, I'm so glad to see that. You know, it was like I said, we just finished a Soulfly tour. It was a real great run. We did some really amazing cities, amazing shows like Shreveport, Louisiana, and Little Rock, you know, Arkansas, like stuff, places that we don't go all the time, Montana. And it was packed. It was sold out, and it was insane. You know, we had, of course, Dino playing guitar for us again.
Right.
Beer Factory. That was, people wanted to see that, so they got a chance to see that. There was a killer lineup. We had 200 step wounds for most of the shows. Yeah, I mean, well, you know, this is how we made our living, right? We're no longer the days of selling CDs are in the past. You know, like most of the artists today they make the living off touring, and that's really a lot. I think a lot of fans don't know this, but without the live show, without the touring, I think a lot of bands would not even exist. So all those bands you mentioned, Ministry, Testament, Brujeria, us, we are very thankful for the fans to showing up and loving the merch. We got many cool things, the special T-shirts. I do paintings, canvas. Igor does drum heads and all those personal things that the fans like to get. It's a special thing from you to them. But I couldn't be happier that the shows are back and people actually like enjoying themselves. You see mosh pits are happening again, circle pits. And these are two records are just perfect for that. If you don't want to get hit, stay in the back and enjoy the show from the back. But I know for a fact, because this music, when it hits, when this music hits, I'm not responsible for my action. That's what I'm trying to say, man. Because this shit is so lit. Right. These records are. It was a crazy time. I love the riffs in it. I was immersed in the death thrash movement. It was the era. I was soaking up everything from Dark Angel to Morbid Angel, Possessed, Death, Obituary. Creator. We put it all in it, and you can feel it. Those records are very honest. That's another cool thing about the Beneath the Remains and Arise. A very honest record. There's no pretension. There's no gimmicks. It is what it is. It's a straight punch in the face. Right. And I love it. I love them because of that. The simplicity. Although they're intricate riffs, don't get me wrong. That shit ain't easy to play. That's why I'm practicing every day right now to get as tight as I can. But there's some really there's a simplicity to it that makes it really, really cool. And I kind of like a little bit of a caveman mentality to it, right? Because it's metal, right? It's supposed to be like that. It's supposed to be raw as it can get, and we're not gonna fancy anything up. We're gonna play them the way they were written. We're not changing much. We're trying to play as close to originals as we can play. But yeah, I couldn't be happier that fans are back, and I'm sure this tour, I think a lot of the shows are already sold out. In fact, I think we are already talking about we're probably gonna have to do a second run of this at some point in the future, because a lot of places were pissed off that they're either sold out or we're not going there. Like Florida, we're not going there at all. I saw somebody showing the dates the other day, and there was a guy that from Florida. He was pissed off. He saw like, fuck these guys, they're not coming to Florida. I'm not even mad at the guy for saying fuck this guy. It's kind of cool. It's kind of like he loves it so much. His manager was like, fuck these guys, they're not coming here. So we're probably gonna do a second run of this. But for the moment, we're very thrilled to just get back at it and see the reaction of the fans. It's gonna be amazing, man. It's gonna be really like I'm at the point where I just really want to enjoy life and metal as much as I can, and those two records are the best way to do that. It's with those kind of records. They're just so much fun to play.
Those tours, especially Arise, was epic in New Mexico. If you recall the Gallup, New Mexico show, people always talk about that one, how it ended up, if you recall the outdoor venue when the police came and pulled the plug on you guys, and you had support like Sick of It All, Sacred Reich, and Napalm Death. That was one of the most ultimate shows I have ever seen in New Mexico, and you guys have always put on some brilliant shows out here. But do you recall that crazy day, how that all ended up happening? That was so long ago.
Yeah, I mean, that was the tour that Gloria put that package together. It was a brilliant idea of putting, us with Sacred Reich, Sick of It All, and Napalm Death, which is very different kind of bands, but they're all aggressive. But You know, nobody had really at that time mixed Sick of It All with Napalm Death and Sepultura. It's like that was a cool thing. And I remember I think I read somewhere leading up to the show. I think there was an article that came out in New Mexico where they were calling Sacred Reich Nazis and they were calling Sepultura satanic. So it was like, yeah, don't come to the show because they're Nazis, they're satanic.
Yeah.
You know, Sick of It All was like skinheads or some shit, and it was like, and, you know, it was like really like already, they're already talking about the show before it happened, and the day of the show, I just remember I kind of flashbacks from it, but I remember that they cut our power off in the middle of our set, and that didn't, you know, we were all pissed off and angry because we want to play, the fans wanted to hear, but the cops shut the show down. One of our crew guy, Leo, got arrested, and then my wife went to fight for him and for the show to continue, and she got arrested, so she went to jail as well. So it was just a crazy fucking day, man, you know. But yeah, the good old days, right?
Right.
Riots, police, shutting down shows, and the whole energy. But we always had great shows in New Mexico. It was really cool because the last time I was there with Soulfly, we met the mayor, you know, Tim.
Yeah, Tim Keller.
Yeah, so he's a killer. I went to his office and we did a bunch of pictures, and so cool to, he had all these records for us to sign, and he had pictures on the wall. It's like, dude, this is killer, man. This is awesome. We need more mayors like you know. We need more politicians like this guy. Like, this guy is the shit, you know. But yeah, I hope hopefully you'll come to the show. You know, we'd love to have him around for the Beneath the Remains. I know he's a huge fan of those records. So I just I love the energy of those shows, and the Sunshine. It's some of the best Soulfly shows ever. It's been there. I love the support that we get, either all the metalheads, but also get a lot of the Raz guys. You know, it's killer, man. It's the high energy crowd that's always intense, and yeah, it's a killer way to kick off the tour. And then we finish in Tempe, Arizona. So yeah, it's not that long of a tour. It's 5 weeks. But yeah, you know, really cool opening band, Cephalic Carnage. They've been around for a while. Warbringers, an amazing thrash band. Also Healing Magic. That's my son's band, Igor. They're awesome. So it's gonna be a fun metal night for everybody, man. You know, get there early, check out all the bands.
Check out everybody.
Make a metal night out of it, man. You know, be part of the whole thing.
The importance of Sepultura in the metal scene, the world, and history of metal is extremely important. I dug up an interview with you and Andreas in 1994 on my old public access TV show. And you had played El Rey, I believe, with Fudge Tunnel and might have been Carcass. I can't remember exactly, but it was a very serious interview you and I had, because we were talking about a lot of the issues. And at that time, that was Chaos AD that you were supporting at that time. And it's funny because, you know, you think about that time, you think, well, things are going to be better 30 years from now. But it almost seems like 30 years later, to some degree, it's almost worse. And that kind of, and it's important to have bands like yourself to help us cope as a society. I think we'd be killing each other if it wasn't for a lot of what metal acts like you guys have done. You mentioned in that interview, I had asked you about racism, and you said that when you came to America, you saw a little bit even more racism than you had expected. How do you see all of these things now today? What is the perspective of the older Max 30 years from the Arise era, from the Beneath the Remains, from the Chaos AD?
Well, that's the thing that I like to think that that in the metal world, we are a little bit more open-minded, and I think by a certain extent we are, and we are hopefully less judgmental and more welcoming of all different kinds of people that, because I love the fact that metal is for everyone, man. You know, that's the thing. Like, we don't divide the metal by politics or religion or color or gender, you know. um and I think it's the more worldwide that we get with internet, more different kinds of people gonna listen to metal, and I love that, you know. I kind of say in an interview a long time ago, I said metal succeeded where real society has failed in life, which is to bring all these people together. um and that's true for a lot of things, and I think that that's why I like to, when you come to a metal show, I think it's, you know, life is already full of stuff that you deal with it every day, you know. um Rather it's political stuff or racial tensions and all that. When you come to the metal show, I love that. It's kind of like you can escape from that shit, but at the same time we are targeting all those things through the songs. So you're escaping them, but at the same time, we're actually talking about them through the songs, through the lyrics. And I think that's really cool. Like you're totally right. Like, if it wasn't for metal, yeah, most people will go out and be killing people, and society would not function. You know, metal is a very healthy way to um, let your feelings come out in a way that you don't hurt anybody, but you still get very angry. You still get very, um, you know, very energetic, very angry, very loud, very raw, but you're not hurting anybody. And I think it's a healthy, it's always like therapy, you know. It's kind of like it's the best therapy I think you can get. It's go to a metal show, fuck, you hate your boss and you hate your work, go out to a metal show and let it all on the floor.
Right.
You know?
Right.
I'm telling you, you'll feel great. You might be sore a little bit, but mentally you feel great because you let all that out. And you know, I like to kind of like challenge people a little bit with the lyrics, you know, because there's different kinds of metal and they all deal with different stuff. But I like to think that the school of thought that we came up with records like Beneath the Remains and Arise it's a little bit punk influence. So there's a lot of influence from a lot of the punk writers of the time, Jello Biafra and Black Flag and stuff like that. Discharge.
Oh yeah.
Was really you mean what you say what you mean, you know.
Yeah.
Just comes down to that. And I love some of the very straightforward lyrics on those records. Stuff like Inner Self. It's amazing. And it has aged really, really well, you know.
Yeah.
I was talking about my life in Brazil at that time, and it can translate. It's so funny because that lyric can actually translate to all corners of the world. So a kid in Siberia might feel that those lyrics connects to him, although they were written about me in Brazil. They can actually connect or to a kid in New Mexico or in Arkansas. You know, I love that about metal. That you know, actually I was talking to my brother about, because he was like really he likes that stuff, that a lot of my lyrics creates conversations. You know, you create a conversation because of the topic. Rather be something like Territory that you can. It was originally written for all kinds of war for territory. So it can be Palestine and Israeli, but also can be Bloods and Crips. It can be between two football teams. It can be, you know, any kind of confrontational tribal warfare, you know, people fighting for their territory, you know. So that was the seed idea of that song. Or you have something like Refuse and Resist. Is a very, very, you know, like riot oriented song, just about standing up for yourself and don't take no shit from no one, you know. And I love the directness of some of those lyrics. Um, and then we in some of those records there was some crazy stuff too, like almost like visionary kind of stuff. Like when I think about that embryonic cell, that's a trippy one, because it's a bit like the pandemic, It's a bit like a laboratory sickness infects humanity, no hope for the future, died by technology, Fuck, it's right on it. It's right what this thing is, we're not exactly know all the in and outs of COVID, but it's all there, all the elements are there. And I was talking to a friend of mine. I was like, man, it's a trip, right? All these fucking metal records that people made fun of when they came out 20, 30 years ago. And now they're like prophetic. They're talking about the real thing. It happened. Like Voivod killing technology, or nuclear assault, the plague, that's a perfect example, so it's it's not that I am happy that things are worse, because I'm not, I wish things were better, but it does fit the records more now. Singing them now is even more relevant than 30 years ago. So that's what I'm trying to say. If you go out to the show and you sing those lyrics, I think you're going to feel empowered. You're going to feel better. You're going to scream along with us. And like I say, when some of those riffs hit, I'm not responsible for my actions. I'm just going to go total fucking ape shit on it, because it's kind of like it's like you become possessed on the stage, and kind of anything goes, especially when it's me and Igor. It's a whole nother animal. When me and Igor play together, it's a whole different energy that me and him create, that I don't really have it with anybody else, and it's intense.
What was it like when you first started rehearsing those songs with Igor again? I mean, did it bring back a flashback of just all kinds of memories of everything from that time period that you were just, really Beneath the Remains was the breakout album for you? But I mean, it was so crucial for that era, and people were like, damn, these guys are out of Brazil, and let's listen to what they're producing. Look at what they're making. And like you said, the lyrics were very relatable and everybody could understand it. But that relationship, obviously, there's been a lot of bands with brothers in it. But tell us a little bit about that dynamic, reforging those two albums, getting ready for this tour, getting with Igor.
Yes, I think me and Igor have a really special connection, almost like telepathic. I can read his thoughts and he can read mine. And a lot of times, for many years, we didn't even use a count. Like a lot of musicians use the count to start a song. Mm-hmm. We didn't use it. We were just on the eye contact, like you look at each other and you go. And that was trippy for people in the room. They'll be like, holy shit, they didn't count. I remember people seeing that and be like, fuck, that's some crazy shit. You guys don't even count. And you hit it right on the spot together, and that's something that I don't think you can really explain that. It's really about the connection, the brother connection of me and him playing together since we were very little, that you formed this bond. But yeah, I mean, when we started practicing, a lot of times, it's funny. You'll be listening to a song, you're like, there's so many goddamn riffs in this song. What the hell were you thinking? I was like, I wasn't thinking. That's the beauty of it,
Right.
I wasn't. The cool thing about this music is like, that was not really, there was never been a manual how to do it. We just learned it on the ropes, Right. And even as a musician, I learned how to play guitar. I never really I don't read music. I play with 4 strings, and I'm a self-taught guitar player, and I don't really follow. I find it funny sometimes. I get together with some other musicians, and they try to break down the song and write down what you're doing, and I'm always the first one to say, throw all that out of. I don't want to see that, man. That's you're over analyzing the shit. Doesn't need to.
Right. Right.
Just write, just whatever comes out of your heart, write it. And if it feels right, do it. And because that's how those records, that's how those crazy tempo changes, they're in, they just happen. It just, there's not even, some of them don't even make sense, but it fucking works. I don't know how,
Right.
and that's the beauty of metal, I think, is those imperfections, is those things that you can't really learn. There's not a manual to learn how to do it. You just have to, a lot of trial and error. That's how you do it, and I think, like, when I listen to a lot of the metal records of that time, that's what I love about them. Like, I love In Tuned, especially left hand pat. It's like the unpredictability of it. In so many songs, it goes to some other places that you never expected to go, and that's what makes it exciting, And we're still running after making records like that. I'm still always trying to make records with the same kind of mentality from those days, from that time, we just have fun with it, pretty much, and don't really follow a formula. Don't try to do something that you already did. Just follow your heart and write, and just let the song eventually will get to a certain place. And that's what most cases happens to, and that's like the beauty of it,
Nice. Max, we're out of time. I want to thank you very, very much for joining us here on 0 Hour Squared Classics and talking to the great folks here in New Mexico. I want to let you know personally that Sepultura has impacted my life since those days, and I've never stopped listening. Every incarnation of different bands that you've done, everything has been highly influential, and I really, really appreciate you. I think you should be on the Mount Rushmore of thrash metal, of all metal acts, because of how important that your creativity has lent to us. And even so much so that, not everybody's going to pick up a guitar, but I think the message that you've made people proactive in making a change in the world. Hence, we got a metal mayor, and I'm sure he's going to see this. I'll let him know about this great interview. But I definitely want to thank you. We're looking forward to seeing you and Iggor Cavalera return for the Beneath Arise tour. Destruction Nervosa Sunlord will be on that here May 22nd at the Sunshine Theater. Much success to you, man. Continued success. We love you very much, and thank you for joining us. And I want to thank Adrenaline PR as well for setting this up.
Thank you, my brother. I hope I'll see you on the tour, man.
Sounds good, man. We'll see you in Albuquerque. You take care.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.